I got the invite sent to him, so. Okay.
Cheers. And we're back with our second episode.
How's
Waiting for
everybody?
waiting for our guest to come on.
He was installing everything as we speak, so he should be on momentarily. Bless everybody's heart, I tell you. Just received a text saying, said it was getting studio information.
Gotcha.
So, everybody, he should be on momentarily.
By the way, what's our guest's name again? I didn't even catch his name.
Well, he goes by Games Master. He's,
Gotcha.
he's manager, so to speak. I want to say valet, but that's female, I guess. So he's the manager. He's been doing this at least a good 25
Oh,
years.
here we go.
And here he is.
There we go.
Games Master, how are you?
Greetings from Colorado.
How you doing tonight, young sir?
Well, I'm here, aren't I?
That's very true.
So who is the gentleman on my left?
This is my co-host. This is Mac Dubs.
How you doing, sir?
My friend.
How are you?
I'm here, and it's not snowing yet.
Which is always
Awesome.
a good thing. So, Mac, I just remembered we didn't even do our introduction like we usually do. But that's okay. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who we are. So,
well, everyone knows who we are.
Well, of course. I mean, come on. I was born a legend. You kidding me?
I am the legend, so.
Mac Dubs was
in
just
your
born
own mind, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm a coaching legend, but other than that, yeah.
So, what have you been up to since the last time I talked to you? You've been, I know you've been doing, being a manager and all that. What's it like managing in Colorado and stuff like that? Give us a little history on your background.
Well, I've been doing this for about, it must be 14 years now. And it's really strange because out of the 14 years, the last couple, 2022, 2023, have been the busiest I've ever been. Like, I know what the WWE guys feel like because they're going every day. You know, being in the independent realm, we don't go every day, but we go. But my monsters and I, we go every weekend. Like, we're lucky to get one weekend off every month, and that's just in Colorado because there are new federations popping up all the time out here. People think that Colorado is not really a wrestling. I was thinking about this today because people think that that Colorado is not really a wrestling hotbed. For a long time it wasn't, but now it's really starting to pick up. Like there are American wrestling federations starting everywhere, like down south in Pueblo. There's one up in Greeley, which is north of Denver, which is where I am. There's two here in Denver, and there's slated to be more coming in 2024. So
Nice.
But the best thing about it is that I can actually call myself, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm going to anyway, so just deal with it. I can now call myself the only legitimate, independent professional wrestling manager in Colorado because I am.
Nice.
So, you referred to the people you manage as monsters.
Right.
How did that come about, and why what makes them monsters compared to, say, somebody else, or I guess
Well,
their
it's
opponent?
it's you know. Let me ask you guys a fair question.
Okay.
What in your mind, what in your thought process defines a monster?
Mike, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, because he can't think of anything. That's why.
You know what? That's actually a good. It's actually a good question. I've never been asked that question, and you know what? I don't know what to say. I mean, a lot
So
makes
then
up a monster.
A
I
lot,
will answer then. Go ahead, Games Master.
a lot of
I'll
people
let you.
think that you have to be the size of, say, Brock Lesnar or the size of Braun Strowman to be a monster. That's one type of monster, but really the monster is in the attitude. Like
Yeah.
I have a wrestler in excuse me in Florida. His name is Ruby Flyer. Check him out if you can. He's not exactly 6'4", but he's got that attitude, that never quit attitude of a monster, and that's basically what I define as a monster is someone with that attitude of you don't quit, you don't show fear, you don't show mercy, you leave it all in the ring, and you don't know your limit. You don't know the limits to the punishment that you can bring out, that you can take, that you can put on somebody.
So, speaking of Ruby Flyer, I've seen him a couple of times. He's really big into death matches. Guy bleeds buckets. I don't know how that kid has any blood left in him.
It regenerates.
But no, another thing I've noticed is you have a unique, I guess, is it a family? It's, OGD,
Well, it's
right?
now. It used to be called OGD, but because of a technical glitch, I'll say we had to change it. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. We had to change it to the Monster Family.
Monster. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had to change it because of a sort of technical name change that we had to do because of something else. I can't really go into much detail about that. So, and it's
Have you ever done any?
and that's not a. Sorry about that, but that's not a storyline or anything. That's a shoot. That's real. So I had to change the name. So
Do you have any connections with independent wrestling circuits in North Carolina?
not yet. Hoping too soon. Not yet. We're trying to branch out. We're very slow in branching out. Um, I have a lot of wrestlers on the East Coast. I have a few in Florida, and I have a few in Kentucky, but North
Oh, wow.
Carolina, not yet, but it's still young. But if anybody wants to see some of the stuff that we've done, I do have a YouTube channel, which I'll give you the name of later on, so that everybody can
Okay.
check it out.
I think that would definitely be interesting for our viewers to go check out. I've done my research and checked it out, and I like it. I do. I've also seen some of your promos and stuff there too. I will say when it comes to promos, you are very top notch.
Oh,
Mac,
thank
I'm
you.
gonna have to. I'm gonna tell you, Mac. You need to go check this dude out and his promos. He ripped one. He ripped John Cena a good one. I can't remember
Oh,
exactly
that was
what
one of
year
my
it was,
first.
but I tell you that one that was a good one. I like that one,
I don't.
and I tell you,
I wonder if
he's.
that's up on my channel still. I'll have to take a look at that. I think it is, but I'm
But
not sure.
I I'm gonna say right now, and this is not me trying to butter you up, make you feel good. It's the honest God's truth. I'm surprised somebody in the professional wrestling, whether it be WWE, uh, Impact, which is going back to TNA this coming year. I'm surprised none of these big, even AEW hasn't picked you up yet as a manager to
Well,
manage one of their guys.
a lot of people have said that. But I'm 51 years old. And for me, that lifestyle where you're working every night and you're out and you're away from your house. Fortunately, I will say, in some ways, fortunately, I'm not married. I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about being away from my family for 300 days out of the year. But it's hard. That kind of lifestyle is hard on anybody. I don't care if you're married, if you're single. That kind of lifestyle is hard on anybody. You know, you take a look at bands out there like Kiss is out there right now. They've been going on this tour for 2 or 3 years now.
They're still a thing.
And
Yeah.
their last very funny. And their last tour is actually this coming New Year's Eve in New York City, where they all started. So,
nice.
But I can't do that lifestyle. And honestly, I'm very glad that I'm able to be on the independent circuit, because independent circuits are weekends only. You know, like next year, my right-hand man who helps with my bookings and so on said that we'll be going to Utah, which we did a long time ago. We haven't been there for a long time, but we're going to go there, and hopefully, you know, we just did a show. Actually, we just did a show last weekend in Cheyenne. So hopefully we'll be able to go out there. So that's, and yeah, a lot of people have said that they're surprised that that one of the big three haven't picked me up. And honestly, I'm happy that they haven't. You know, when I started becoming a manager, I honestly, I knew they weren't going to, and I was just like, you know, I'm fine with that. You know, but as long as I can do what I do, you know, around Colorado, whatever. That's
I guess it doesn't matter where you're doing it, as long as you're having fun doing it, right?
Yeah. Mac, you look like you've got a question on your mind.
I'm just very intrigued. I'm a big wrestling fan. I've got a lot of friends who are in the wrestling business.
It's cutthroat, let me tell you.
Oh yeah,
it's cutthroat.
I know. I've got a friend. He used to go by the name of Timmy Lou Retton.
I've heard of him.
He's a good friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
So have you? Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the? They're not together anymore, but they were a tag team. You ever heard of the Gym Nasty Boys?
Sounds vaguely familiar. I think I've heard the name, but I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
He was part of that team?
Yeah, he was part of their he was part of that team.
Nice.
I've done we've done a couple of interviews with a couple of them. We did one with a wrestler called Seymour Snot.
I haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
Even more famous, Chubby Dudley from the original ECW.
Yes, we we did a with Chubby Dudley from ECW.
Nice, that's cool.
Man.
The one thing about being in this business is you meet a lot of the big names, and you know, I've met. I can't count how many different guys from AEW, Lucha Underground, WWE, ECW, you know. But it's one of the perks of the business is that you get to meet a lot of the the big names, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know the name Manny Lemons.
Yeah. I know that name.
He's a very, very good friend of mine. I've known him since
Oh,
he
nice.
started. I've known him since he
Okay.
started because he
Nice.
started in Utah. So he comes
Okay.
out here 4 or 5 times a year, and every
Mm-hmm.
time he does, and this is funny. Every time he does, if he's working a show at one of the federations I work at, he insists that I walk him to the ring. He won't do the show unless I walk him to the ring.
That's cool. No. That's what you call
Loyal.
that's what you call loyal and awesome right there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
that's he's one of my best friends. You know.
I was at a
One of the things that is so true is Steve Austin used to say that you don't make a whole lot of friends in this industry. And he's right. You don't. But the friends that you do make, you keep close by your side, because I tell a lot of guys that start this journey that if you're not careful, if you don't have somebody there that to really back you up and give you advice and kind of pull you along and say, no, maybe you want to do this or maybe you want to do that, this industry will eat you alive. It absolutely will. I
yeah.
don't care what anybody says.
Me and a cousin of mine, um, we do a little writing, and we've been working on and off on a wrestling project, um, starting a new anime wrestling show,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been like getting different types of characters, and a couple of the people that I know who wrestle are interested in being like one of the characters, and your name, the name Game Master, really sounds cool. So, how did that name come up? How did you come up with that?
Actually, my, my the gimmick that I am um, came from a friend of mine who is still wrestling. In fact, I manage him here in Colorado. He also makes gears. This mask that I'm wearing is one of the masks he made. So shout out to Diago Diablo. He came up with the name. I think he was reading a magazine or something, and he thought, hey, there's a name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so I had to think about it, and it was like, okay, so what game am I the master of? And he said, you're the master of the game of pain. And I'm like, I like it. I said, and he's like, you wear the mask because you don't want people to see the face of the person who, let's just say, calculated their demise, so to speak. I can't, I guess that's probably the best way I can engineered their demise. Let's put it that way. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I apologize,
Gotcha.
you guys. Apparently, my dog's being an asshole, and I don't have a babysitter tonight for the young ones, so I apologize if I'm in and out.
Oh, I got to be in and out too. So, but, no,
Yeah, we're all good.
and the other thing about, I was going to say this. When people enter the business, the first thing they want to do is they want to be a wrestler. Everybody wants to be a wrestler.
Did you want to be a wrestler when you first started?
No. In fact, when I started up in Minnesota. Excuse me. And I started as a manager in Minnesota, I started as a referee in Minnesota. Moved back here. I'm from Colorado. This is my home state. So, and then I came back down here in 2003, started reffing in certain federations here, and then wanted to be a manager, and I became a manager in 2009. So, did I want to be a wrestler? No. And the only reason why I say that is because I couldn't take the bumps, because I have bad shoulders, so I really can't take the bumps.
That's understandable.
So, they said, well, let's work around that and see what we can do. But nobody, and I'm probably going to get slack for this, but in my overview, everybody wants to be the wrestler. Everybody wants to be the star. Not a lot of people, I won't say nobody, but not a lot of people want to be the manager, because the manager is basically the second banana, to use a vaudeville term.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be the center of attention. I don't care. I like being the manager. I like being essentially the cheerleader for the wrestler in the ring. I like getting the crowd to either like him or hate him. Whatever I do, it's an extension of myself.
Yeah. Well, the manager plays a very sacred part in a wrestling story.
I was just thinking about that myself.
Go
ahead.
You're good. For instance, like Bobby Heenan was Paul Bearer, Paul Heyman.
Speaking of Paul Heyman, though, there are managers that make or break a superstar. Take Roman Reigns, for instance. Didn't do shit up until he started being paired with Paul Heyman. Now he's doing his best work. Whether you're a Paul Heyman guy or not,
I think that he was good in the Shield. I really can't. I can't. He has done some of his best stuff with Heyman. I think he's done a lot of good stuff with Heyman. Some of his best stuff, who's to say? Because I'm probably going to get shafted for this, but I don't believe that people do their best stuff. I think every night when you go out there, if you can get a reaction from people, whether it be cheering or booing, that's your best stuff. And it could be every night. I think a lot of his stuff is very good with Paul Heyman, but I also think that when he was with the Shield, he did some very good stuff. So it's kind of that, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But yeah, I think a manager does a very important role in a wrestler's whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest thing that the manager can do for a wrestler is just be there. Especially when you're on from your family for 200-300 days out of the year.
Yeah.
So have you drawn any inspiration from other managers?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Paul Heyman?
Oh, big time. Big time.
Who's been your biggest inspiration?
Honestly, I can't really point to one. I was lucky enough to do a seminar with both Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart.
That's right. You can't forget Jimmy Hart neither.
Right, and
Not of the South.
I was very lucky to do this talking this seminar this I call it a concert with Bobby Heenan before he passed away. God rest his soul. And the one thing that I took away from him was the one thing that he said was, you could have the most physically trained, perfectly physically trained specimen in that ring. But if he's not ready up here, don't even put him in the ring. Because he'll get hurt. And so what I try to do is I try to get up here. I try to get him ready up here. You know. And once you do that, then you've got the full package. But yeah, I don't want to be a carbon copy of a Jimmy Hart, or a carbon copy of a Paul Heyman, or a carbon copy of Paul Bear, aka, you know, all the other names he's had, which escape me right now. Percy Pringle. I don't want to be a carbon copy of anyone, but I want to take bits and pieces of them, kind of mold them into clay, and then say, okay, what do I do with this now, and just put it into me. You know, so yeah, the managers of the past and the manager of the present, yeah, they're huge inspirations. You know, you have to have inspirations, because otherwise you're just stuck.
And then, you know, just like inspiration for thought, you could take all of those managers, you know, and mold it and put it into yourself. But, you know, the biggest thing is you believe in yourself to be the best manager you can be. And
yeah, it has to come from within.
Yeah.
It has to come from
It's
within.
it's like me. I've been coaching football
Oh yeah.
for 5 seasons now. And
what level?
I 11 to 14.
Oh, the taller, the bigger guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been I've been coaching them for 5 seasons now, and the first time I started coaching, I'm like, I'm not cut out for this, you know. And then, you know, I talking to my older brother,
You
and
smoothed
he's
into
like,
it.
dude, just give it a chance.
Great.
You know, we were the underdogs, and we made it to the championship game, and defeated the undefeated team in the league the first season, and I've stuck with it for 5 seasons, and
Go with
Three
what you're good at,
championships.
man.
3 championships.
Soon next year before. Let's admit it. Next year before, maybe.
Yeah, hope so.
I mean,
Um,
you know, you really got to believe. It's not just believing in yourself. It's also, and this is going to sound inspirational from an evil genius like me, so forgive me, whatever. But it's really a couple of things. Like my right hand man and Andrew, you know him.
Mhm.
You know who I'm talking about. He coached football for 1 season. He doesn't know anything about football. I mean, he knows the technical terms and this and that and the other, but he coached the linemen and the linebackers. And the other coach, there were 2 coaches, and the other coach coached everybody else. Nobody thought they had a chance. Nobody. But they ended up going 6-0. And the one way they did that was they took out the worry about winning. And basically they said, do your best, you never lose. That's basically but stick with what you're good at. You know,
Become the expert of what you're in. Like, for instance, so for me, and you know this, I've done mixed martial arts, wrestling, and you know, I'm more on the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar type schedule, mainly because I can never get an opponent that will follow through with the setup of our match, which is fine, But we talked about inspiration. And what always gets me motivated and has me going in there to do my best is people look at my size. I'm 5'6", 100. You can see last week I weighed in at 184.
That's pretty
And
good for that.
well, I mean, my heaviest was 283. This was last year, so
Look at that.
I mean, but people I will sit there and they will downgrade me of my size. Oh, you can't do this and that and the other, and I love that. I love it because
You
it's
prove
like,
them wrong.
okay, oh, of course,
Yeah.
and that's always been my outlook. It's like, all right, say what you want, but when we step into that cage or we step into those ropes, I'm not looking to be your friend.
No.
I'm not looking to go out and buy you a pint and be chummy with you. I'm out there and I'm going to hurt you. Understand that when you stand across from me, whether you're my friend outside or not, in that cage, no matter where we're at, I'm going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Because
I
that's the nature of
do,
the game.
well, of course, it's hurt or be hurt. And when I'm standing in the ring, I get into a different mindset. I have anger issues. I have those types of explosions, and I rage out sometimes. And
Yeah,
people
yeah.
say, "Oh,
Owl told me about a few of those.
yeah," and it's
Yeah.
like so. Which people will look at me and say, that's your biggest downfall. And it's like, you don't understand when you're in that cage. My mindset is it's like a switch. I'm a completely different person. I'm
And
hyper focused.
that's how it is for all athletes. They step on that field in football. They step in that cage in MMA. They step in the ring in boxing. They step in the ring in wrestling. They step in the mat in wrestling. It's a switch. You turn a completely different animal, monster. But the only reason people will drag you down and say stuff that is not complimentary is, and this is for both of you, and you can tell this to all your football players and everybody, is because one of two things. One, they drag you down because they can't do what you do. So them is
Yeah.
jealousy. So they think if I can't do it, nobody can do it. And every time they see you, you prove them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
A big inspiration.
that's the biggest thing. Prove. It's like, I guess Chris Benoit used to say this all the time. Prove me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he said it.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because I like to observe. I'll sit back and I whether it's studying tapes or just watching who I'm going up against, or if I can't get the information I need, I will just focus and look back on my past matches and see what I can do. Right now, I'm in the middle of doing a lot of strength training and trying to bulk up and put on muscle. And one of the biggest motivations for me when I get into that mindset, whether it's training or whatever I'm doing, is I listen to Randy Orton's 2004 theme song, "Burning My Light." I like it because it brings me back to kind of what you said is the reason they drag you down is because they can't do what you do.
No.
And when you said that, it made me think of that song because I know what I'm capable of. Do you?
Well, I mean, it's for you, Mac. Being a football coach, you have to constantly think of what can you do to inspire your players.
Yeah.
The biggest thing you can do, and then that's we're turning this into a inspirational talk, but that's always good. Just be there. Just be there. Support them. The best way, and a lot of coaches hate me when I say this, and I really don't care at this point. take the worry of winning away. Take the worry of winning away. Personal best, and I've said this to all my monsters, and Andrew, you're one of them. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I've said this to everybody. Winning isn't everything. It's just something. Okay? If you win inside, if you feel like you've done your best inside, what else do you need? You know, like sometimes I'll come away from a show and I'll think I screwed up big time. I we didn't win any matches, whatever. But then I think to myself, wait a minute. We got reactions from the crowd. They love us or they hate us. That for me is all that matters.
So are you a face or a heel?
Or a tweener?
Honestly, Max got it. I'm a tweener. Yes. Some places I'm a heel. But some places I'm a twin. I can't go full on face. I mean,
never
my
been
look.
That type either.
If you take a look at my look, I mean, this is my casual Friday look. You know, but I'm always wearing. If when you check out my videos on my YouTube page, you'll see I wear a suit. I have like 4 or 5 different suits. But it's hard to make me go full on face. So the most I'll do is a tweener. You know, I'll be like a Steve Austin face. I'll be that face. Me and my monster will be that face.
Hero.
But we'll still.
Well, we know as much as Stone Cold tried to be a heel, everyone still loved him.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Well, it's like an anti-hero.
And it's like Paul, and it's like with Paul Heyman. It's like as much as he plays the bad guy, you still love him
because of his mic skills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They like him because of his mic skills. And you know, a lot of people have said, and I'm not putting my own horn, this is what I've heard from other people. They've said that as far as promos go, Games Master can do some of the most prolific promos they've seen. And you know, I'm good on the mic. What can I say?
I have once, and Games Master knows this, I have once compared this man to Ric Flair on the mic. If that gives you any indication on how good he is on the mic.
I don't know if I go that far, but I'm pretty close. But
hey man, if you believe in yourself and you toot your own horn, then hey, I mean,
the thing of when I do promos, I don't script them. Everything I say is off the top of my head. Because I don't want people to think, how do I say this? I don't want people to think it's a movie where it's all scripted. You know?
Yeah.
So I kind of break that whole script thing and I say what I feel. All the people, all the booker or all the Fed owner has to tell me is what I have to talk about. And then I just say. But a lot of times, and I don't know if I can go back that far enough because I'm old, but very, very seldomly, very, very seldomly do I swear. Very, very seldomly. And it's because one of my English teachers used to tell me, you can get your point across without swearing. And if you can do that, no, actually it was a radio announcer class that I took. And the teacher had been on the radio for 25 years. And he said, if you can get your point across without swearing, you're a king. Because there's no need. There's really no need. I mean, you know, Steve Austin with his hell yeah and his his digit, and that's fine. That works for his gimmick, you know. But if you can make your point without swearing, you're a king. You're an absolute king.
So, Games Master, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here.
Oh, great.
Um, I have. I'm gonna need you here this coming year because I got a match coming up in January, assuming everything works out, and I got another one that it's gonna happen anytime. I just gotta find out, but I think I'm gonna need a pep talk because I am going to be donning the shorts, putting on the gloves a couple more times this year. It's been a while, so
Hey, we match.
I'm gonna need. What's that?
Hey, we match.
Yeah,
Color scheme.
absolutely. I
You
also
better have Mac on your corner, though. Mac, you better be there in his corner.
We won't talk about January, but hopefully this one fight that I got. He's 18 years old. I've striped with him one other time during a church youth activity. We were working with, he was helping teaching self defense, and this kid is pretty good. So I'm just turned 33 this past
You're a
August,
puppy.
and my
You're a
body.
puppy. You both are puppies.
I don't
I'm
feel
49.
Like
So you're still
Yeah.
younger than me. You're a puppy.
I'm just kidding. I'm not 49.
Games
you're
Master's only
29.
40.
I
Hey,
remember I
well.
turned 40. The biggest thing about anything is, you've said it earlier, as long as you believe in yourself, what's to stop you? And that's been the biggest rule in the Monster family is nothing stops you. You're like one of my absolute favorite descriptions or sayings was from Robin Williams. God rest his soul, right? And he used to
Yes.
say, if you love what you do so much, be like a freight train with the brakes busted off. Don't stop. Don't stop. Know your limits, but don't stop. You have to have some limits, but don't stop. You got to, but I want you to kick this kid's ass because I want you to show him what it's like. Because he probably hasn't been in too many matches in the cage, and he needs to feel exactly what it's going to feel like.
There's a reason I've always come to you when it comes to my matches and whatnot. And, I know it's been a while, but I'm looking forward to it. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of reflecting and pondering as to just how long I've been out of it for. I've been lucky enough to enjoy a very lengthy championship reign stemming from 2006 or 7 to 2011. Um, and like I said, I feel it every morning, every time I get out of bed. I feel it, I do. But honestly, at the same time, I feel great,
Mm-hmm. And you should.
And I love it. And I don't want to stop. There's people that say, we just had somebody on the podcast not that long ago. He's a boxer, and he's like, I'm how old is he? He's in his 40s anyway, or turning 40, and he says, I'm slowing down. I think it's time about ready for me to retire. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm not ready for that. I've contemplated it a couple times, but at the end of the day, I'm like, there's got to be something seriously wrong in order for me to retire. Like, I don't think I have to be one of those like in my 60s or 70s and still going strong. I don't want to stop.
And that's a good attitude to have, but there's going to be a time and a place where you're going to have to say, I got to stop.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's
It's
a
not going to be the best, but it's going to come.
right.
And speaking of, what we were talking about earlier about winning isn't everything. There's a quote. It goes like this: "It's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare yourself to win that matters." So you gotta. It's not that It's not that you don't have the will to win, but you have to prepare yourself to win. Even if you lose,
Yep.
you still win.
As and that's really what it's about. More than anything is, I mean, one of my right hand men, his name is Owl. That's what everybody calls him. You know him.
Mm-hmm.
One of his best friends is a bodybuilder, and a very good one. And he stopped competing 2000. He competed from like 2003 to 2008. He would always prepare himself to win first place, even if he came in fourth, even if he came in third. He would always prepare himself. I agreed with that to a point. My thinking is you have to prepare yourself to lose in order to win, because you don't know what's going to happen. So you have to be ready either way. But no, you're Mac. You're absolutely right. You need to prepare yourself to win, but you also, on the other hand, need to prepare yourself for the other side.
Yeah.
So talking about all this, I watch a very good TV show, one of my favorites, and it's The Blacklist. Very good TV show. I love it. Main character is Red Reddington, and he's always staying one, like at least a good 5 or 6 steps ahead of everybody else. And,
Which is
and
not hard to do sometimes.
oh, absolutely. And so I look at that and I take a lot from that, because if I'm going to go into a fight or a match or whatever it is, I prepare myself, but I also prepare for every single scenario that could possibly happen.
Yeah, you have to.
And it's like I've always taken the philosophy that you need. I'll sit there and I'll talk shit to you all day long, and I will tell you my game plan. I will lay it out there and tell you exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and when I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do exactly as I said I was going to do. It
But
is
try
up to
this.
you.
But try this. Instead of telling them what you're going to do, don't say a word.
And that's just going to make it more dangerous, because for the most part, I execute everything I say I'm going to do.
Right. But what I'm saying is, instead of telling them everything, and Mac, this is good for your football too.
Don't tell them anything at all.
Don't tell them anything. Let them guess.
And so
because
for me,
the more you make them guess, the more they're going to be wrong,
right,
and you're going to be right.
Always, for my opponents, when they come and they step up to me,
step back. Step back.
I always like to take the philosophy, because when I'm in there and I know what I will sit there, and the reason I get so confident, call it overconfidence, if you will. I like to be that confident because I feel like I've put in enough experience. I put in enough work. Now I'm not going to sit there and say I've won every single match or fight that I've been in. I've lost some. I've got my
Hold
ass
on
handed
one
to me a
second.
couple.
You keep on talking, but I got to do one thing. But keep on talking. I'll be right back.
Yep. Yep. Go
All
ahead.
right.
So because of that, I have been able to win some of my best matches because of my confidence.
We've lost audio.
Oh,
Talking, but not saying anything.
can you hear me?
Can you
Check
hear him
1 2
now?
check. Can you hear me?
Who can you hear, Mac?
Mic check. Hello.
I can hear you.
I can hear both of you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear nobody.
Let me try something. Probably because
Games
my.
Master, I can hear you and I can hear Mac.
Yeah, what's the?
I can't hear anything.
How do we lose audio like that? I wonder. Let me try something here.
It must be on his end.
Sure it is. But we lost him now.
Yeah. I just messaged him, told him it was his audio. Can you hear me okay?
I know she
Looks
really
like
wear my glove.
he's joining us. Can you hear us, Mac?
Can you hear me? I guess not.
We can hear him. Can you hear us?
Oh, now I can.
There we go.
Check
So
1 2.
Yep.
Well, let's just.
looks like my mic has to get charged after this. But no, so my confidence comes from that I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm capable of. I don't know what you are going to do. I don't know what you're capable of. If I haven't seen you before, if I haven't seen you wrestle, fight, whatever, that's fine. I know in my mind that I'm going to do damage. I'm going to win. It is up to you to, as you said, Benoit said it before, prove me wrong. If you can beat me, you got my respect, and I will sit there and say, you know what, you're the better man. You whoop my ass.
You know, here's a clip. I'm going to play this clip. It's from a football movie. It's an inspirational football movie. You might have heard it. You might have seen it. If you ever seen the movie Facing the Giants.
I haven't. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I know,
Okay, well,
remember
there's,
the Titans.
okay. Well, the movie's called Facing the Giants, and basically that's what they did. They fought bigger and tougher football teams and overcame the obstacle. But this one scene in the show, in the movie, really, just spoke out about, not giving up. And if I can share the screen here, I will play the clip. Here we go.
I remember this scene.
Well, yeah,
Why did I get emotional during that? That was good stuff.
I'm sitting here and I get goosebumps every time I see that.
Mac, you
Every
and I are
time.
gonna have to try that.
That's how it is. That's how it should be.
Mac, you're gonna get on my back sometime, and we're gonna do that.
I mean, I'm sorry, I took my gloves off. I had to type something here, but
Yeah, right.
I can't type with my gloves on. Can't type on my computer with my gloves on. But that's the kind of thing that I try to instill in the monsters. You think you can only go so much. I mean, that's why we have the rule that says no limits. Is exactly that. The only person who puts limits on themselves is themselves, nobody else.
Correct.
And there should be no limits. Like, I go to the gym and I see this thing on the wall that says push your limits. And I look at it and I laugh. Because I always say, excuse me, there are no limits. So why should I push something that I don't have? And I instill that in the monsters. I've instilled that in Andrew. I've instilled that in all the monsters. You know, it's not about winning titles. It's not about, winning championships. It's about in professional wrestling, it's about doing your best and getting reaction.
It's about doing what you love too.
Yeah. If you don't love it, take a hike. Like if I didn't enjoy being a manager and watching my monsters do the best they can in the ring, I would have left a long time ago.
One of my favorite wrestlers, and he's about third or fourth on my Mount Rushmore. He's never been world champion. Never. I tell you what, though, one of the most iconic, legendary wrestlers to ever grace a wrestling ring, and Roddy Piper. Rowdy Piper. One of my favorites.
He has one championship.
He not a world championship, to my knowledge.
I'll have to research that.
If he has, it hasn't been like WWE, WCW, something like that. If he has, that's news to me. But I've always enjoyed his mic skills, the way he's been able to generate such heat. So that's something that I've always picked up, and I've always loved about him. If you can get a reaction, and one of my all-time favorite, not one of my all-time favorite wrestler, head above shoulders, all-time favorite is Eddie Guerrero. Got the most heat when he was a heel. And that's what I love, is just the reactions. Yeah, of course, I love having the championships. I love, that success. But I am much more, I get much more of a thrill of pissing people off than anything else.
Well, he was NWA champion.
Oh, okay. So I stand corrected.
That's
no.
That's
NWA was also TNA before it was TNA, but he was the NWA world champion, so he's been a world champion.
All right, so I stand corrected.
Really, that's really what it's about in professional wrestling. It's the reaction. If you can get a reaction, be it positive or negative, that's all that matters.
Now, do you react with the fans if, say, like during a match with one of your monsters, do you react with the fans?
Oh, yeah. You have to.
Talk a little trash.
That's all I do. I will not. I absolutely will not put my hand on a fan, regardless of the situation. I will not put my hand on a fan. At the same time, it's that what I call the haunted house rule. Which is, you don't touch me, I don't touch you. You don't touch the people that act in haunted houses unless you sign a waiver. They don't touch you. But in professional wrestling, you don't touch me, I don't touch you. I'll get this close to you, but I won't touch you. Oh yeah, I'll react to them all the time. I do it all the time. Because you do that, you make them feel like they're part of the show. And that's the biggest. You want to talk an endorphin high? You want to talk an endorphin buzz? That's it right there. You know, you a manager's job is basically to be a cheerleader for the wrestler and to get the crowd to either hate them or love them. And also, in some instances, to be the mouthpiece for that wrestler. Because a lot of wrestlers are not comfortable on the mic. So the manager has to be the one to grab the stick, as they call it, and start talking. And very rarely, during a show promo will I talk about me. I'll talk about the monster more than anything, because because you're hyping him up. You're saying, hey, I got somebody here that's going to nail you to the floor and leave you hanging. I got somebody here who's got the most powerful clothesline. This is a clothesline to the 10th level of hell. Hype them up. Be their hype man, their spokesperson. The only, and I'm gonna get slaughtered for this, I know. The only thing I have against Heyman is how he says he's an advocate for somebody. You're a manager. You're the spokesperson. For a lot of people, you're the mouthpiece. For Roman Reigns, he's the wise man. I don't like it when somebody says they're an advocate. You're a manager. Because to me, saying you're an advocate is basically being afraid or being ashamed of being a manager for somebody. And you shouldn't. And if you're in that position, if that's your title, don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed of it. Be proud of it. Mm-hmm. Be proud of it. Because there are worse things you could be. You could be in the crowd. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. But if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to be important in the show, being a manager, it's not that bad. Being a referee is not that bad. Everybody thinks being a referee or being a manager is easy. I've been in this game for 30 years. 13 as a manager, 17 as a referee. I can tell you personally and firsthand, neither one of those jobs is easy. Neither one.
So, before we wrap up here, is there anything, Mac, that you got anything you want to ask, or anything that we may have left out there, or?
No, just a quick story. I was at a wrestling show. It was a couple years ago. It's
you got to go to.
I was
war.
going to. I've been to quite a bit. Well, quick two short stories. The first one I was at, a friend of mine, I was telling you about Timmy Lou Retton at the time. He's changed his name now. I'm not sure what he's going by now, but he was wrestling his trainer, Seymour Snot, in the main event match. Well, before that match, there was a tag team match. It was a Falls Count Anywhere, and the location we were at was at a brewery.
I've done plenty of brewery shows.
Yeah. And we're at the brewery, and I'm recording the matches, and I was filming the matches, and the wrestlers, they brought it outside the ring, and one of the wrestlers comes up, and they take the beer out of the fan's hands. Like, hey, let me get a sip of that. Takes a sip of that. The other wrestler is like standing right in front of him. So the wrestler ducks, and the other wrestler tosses the beer, and I'm standing there recording the show, and I just get a beer bath all over me. And he's like, well, hey, guess what? Your shirt will cost more now. I was like, well, hey, maybe you can buy it from me then.
Perfect
And then,
response. Perfect response. That's what you
I
do.
was at a, yeah. And then I was at another show. I was at an AML show, and AML Wrestling. It was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a match going on, and they're backstage. They used the bathroom as like the backstage area. It's where like they set up like all the post and pre-interviews and stuff like that. So I don't know if you are catching my drift on where I'm going with this, but they were back. They were going backstage to fight or whatever, and while they were fighting backstage, somebody was taking a leak, and I'm just gonna end it there.
Oh, believe me, I have seen much worse. Like, I remember one show, this was up in Minnesota, and it went into a bar's bathroom, and the guy ended up getting a swirly.
Nice.
I'm not kidding. And let's just say that the water he was using wasn't white, wasn't clear.
It was a little less than clean.
It was yellow. So
Yummy.
yeah. But hey, you folks, I am honored to be here, but I got to get back to taking care of the what I call the game layer over here. But it was an honor to be here, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And Mac, you got to check out that. You got to check out that YouTube channel. I'm gonna give it out right now, and you guys can post it if you want. The name of the channel is GM Nation, and the picture on it is my beautiful face. So if you see my beautiful face when you type in GM Nation, you know you've got the right page. And I've probably got 12 years of stuff on there.
Well, thank you for being on here. It was great having you on here. We'd love to have you again sometime.
When I get a free moment, we will definitely do it again.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. And I'm going to take this one, and like good old Steve Austin says, we'll catch you down the sunset.
Thank you, Games Master.
My pleasure.
Thank you, the Dark One.